intro to scales short video. It's going to be part of a lesson set where I'm teaching tips and tricks about how to play the Blackbird solo guitar piece. And I should identify off the bat what kind of student I'm thinking of for this. So I'm thinking of, end stage beginner, older end stage beginner student who already knows tabs pretty well and can play most of the chords in the basic pop songs or folk songs that they want to play, and just wants to take things the next level. So, getting the things out of music notation that tabs can't really provide, and that will just be an extra tool for learning how to play solos like this. Okay, so for that kind of person that maybe doesn't have any history of keyboard or a band instrument, learning music notation from that. Um, Quick explanation: scales are just a set of notes that convention has, Western musical tradition has told people sound good together. So we have a major scale, a minor scale. We also have, and those have 7 notes, and then they come around again to the um, bass note or the root note, only an octave higher. And then we have things like pentatonic scales, which have 5 notes rather than 7, major and minor, blues scales, a whole bunch of types of scales in between. So let's just talk about the first kind of anchor scale that people know about because it's less complicated, and that's the C major scale. And if as a guitar player you know your C, 3 fingers down C chord, it's got the major elements in it. So, your C arpeggio, meaning it has C, every other note, skip to the end, high C. Excuse me. And this scale is a great starting point because it doesn't have any sharps and flats in it. So if you're going mainly off tabs, tabs doesn't really indicate sharps and flats because it doesn't sort of need to. It'll tell you, oh, fourth string, 4th fret, and that happens to be an F sharp, but it doesn't have to say sharp because it's telling you. It doesn't have to give you a key signature for sharps because it's telling you that that's the note that you're going to play. So we're going to, go back to basics with a C major scale, and I'm going to show you what that looks like on a piano keyboard, which I have up here, just so that you can know what that looks like on the keyboard and why it's a scale is a little bit aberrant from root family to root family. Let me just see if I have my screen, my computer speaker on. So here we're going to start with the C note. All right, I'm going to take that off speaker now. So what you may have noticed as you went through here is that when we got to between the E and the F, there's no black key there. There's nothing between these other notes. You have a black note, which kind of shows you that it's halfway between C and D, a little bit higher in pitch than the C and a little bit lower in pitch than the D. So if you're, depending on what scale you're using and what direction you're going, that could be a C sharp, but its other name is also D flat. But when you get to, there's 2 pairs that don't have a black note between them, E and F, and over here, B and C. So as a person that, learned my note reading off of a band instrument, which is flute, we played in a lot of key signatures that had flats in them. Key signature just means the root family that all share the same, go together with the same number of sharps and flats, which you will see in the key signature. So it also means what somebody says, what key are we playing in? That's what they mean, what key signature. It means what scale family am I playing in? So back to our point about no black notes. If you look at the E, there's no such thing as an E sharp. If you look at the F, there's no such thing as an F flat. You know, you have F sharp, G flat here, you have D sharp, E flat there. Similarly, when we scoot all the way over here to the next void where there's no black notes, we have a B, then straight to C. So that means we have no such thing as a B sharp and no such thing as a C flat. Now, I need to qualify that by saying you will see in some music pieces like the maybe a B is sharpened, because maybe that's easier and faster for the musician to process. But if a B is sharpened and they have a little bit of experience, they'll know that that means, oh, that means I play a C, because there's no B sharp in between them. So what that ends up with is, you heard when we played the scale, going from C to C, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which we know, mostly everybody knows from The Sound of Music musical, when Julie Andrews teaches the children how to play it, the Von Trapp children, how to sing a scale. And honestly, it's that simple. That's the specific song that your ear hears with the major scale. So it's a matter of getting your ear used to the sound of the scale that you're playing, of the set of musical note families, the notes that go together within that family, that sound right together, put it that way. And then also, you know, if you play a scale, and scale just means stepping stones, right? It just means steps going up and then going down. It sounds like a hardcore musical theory word, and it's become that, but as a root word, it just means steps. And it's important to play scales so that your ear gets reacquainted with the family of notes that sound right together for that major scale or minor or whatever. And also so that your fingers can kind of call back that muscle memory that they have for what shapes and distances and that they learn to reach for and that sound good together. So that's why I would say, you know, talking about the Blackbird lesson, whenever you want to learn a challenging piece or a new piece, or even just remind yourself about an old piece that you used to know how to do, if you're going out of a scale or a key signature that you've been playing, and you need to remind yourself of what notes to go together in the one you're moving on to, play that scale again. You don't have to re-drill it. Maybe just go up and down a couple of times. You can go up to a second octave, but just reacquaint your ear and your muscle memory with the shape of that scale. So the other thing I want to point out about this video is that guitar is different than, even though the scale root families are the same, where we find those notes is different on a guitar than on a piano keyboard. Piano keyboard has black and white notes, and guitar really just has frets, you know, these squares that you learn to press down. Like if you have your C chord, you know, you've got your first finger on the first fret on the second string, the second highest string. You've got your tall boy finger on the E note, which is the fourth string, second fret, and your ring finger on the C note, which is the 5th string, 3rd fret. And you know these notes, but if you take, for example, with your C note here, if you slide that finger up to the 2nd fret, that's your C sharp. Slide it back from C sharp. All right. So it's telling us that each rectangular fret is one half tone, or the distance between what we call like the main unflatted or sharpened note to the semitone. So between each unaugmented note, you don't have a black note, but you would have to skip to get to D, from C to D. You're going to skip this. The sharp would be the equivalent of this 2nd fret, and catch your D on the 3rd fret. So we're going to C sharp, D. And when you think about it, when you play a D chord, oh, you do have that D depressed, right? You have a open D. Now, when I say open, that means the strings are open and ringing with no fingers pressed down on them. So what it means is the notes that you tune your strings to when you first get out your guitar and start to play a song is what those notes are on your on the keyboard. So here we have open D, or open E, I'm sorry, the low E on the thickest, lowest sounding string. This is your A on the 5th string with no fingers down, so it's open. Open D, we just said, on the 4th string. I'm playing this without being able to see the open strings. Okay, here we had our E. A. Open D. Just put my hand up here so you can see it's not pressing anything down. Open G. Open B. And then your highest, thinnest string at the top comes around to E again. Okay, so if we want to play these, tilt the computer back up. If we want to play these notes of the C major scale, you can put on the lowest note of your C chord, and that's your root note. It's kind of the root of the chord, if that helps you to think about it that way. So we're going to go C, and then we have the open D string. We said that's what we tune the 4th string to. Now your E note, okay, a good guess is that you're going to put your second note of the second fingering of the chord on there, and then logic tells you D. 1st fret is D sharp. So yes, that's your E there. Now remember that E doesn't have a black note between it, so we're just going to go 1 fret for the half tone, semitone, and then we have open G. Up here would be G sharp, but we don't want that. We want A, open B, and then C. That's the 1 full octave of that scale. Just go down it again while you're there. Open B, A, G, F, E, open D, and C. All right. So I did that with some choppiness because I was trying to show where the semitones were. Okay, so these are the principles of, finding and hearing your scale and allowing your fingers, both the left hand and the right hand, to click back into their muscle memory for that key signature or that scale family, or that root note family that your song that you're tackling is going to be in. That's why we learn scales. That's why we look at the key signatures when we start a song. With something a little bit more complicated, like finger style with the Beatles, Blackbird that we're doing, the tab is not going to show you the key signature. It's just going to show you the note when it pops up, kind of thing. But I don't know if that helps a person when they get to this stage want to, be able to know, when that they're going to play an F sharp every time it comes up, kind of thing, unless otherwise indicated. So these are the principles we're going to apply to any song and scale. The next video we'll look at the G major scale. I'll just give you a quick preview of that. So if we look here, this is Blackbird. Here we have tabs with no sharps or flats showing. Here we have the basic music notation with a treble clef and one sharp scale. So we'll deal with that next time, and I will see you in the next video.